So this little circle that's filling up right here is making the numbers get bigger until we reach infinity. Like there's literally a progress bar to infinity down here, and it's already at 0.5%, which at 50 seems pretty low for infinity, but we can also use these numbers here to make the loops fill up faster. So right now we're at 1.13 laps per second, and every time it completes a revolution, it also fills into this multiplier up here between all the different loops that we can get, which is the total we see over here. And so we just keep increasing that as many times as we can, which gets us closer to 100 that we need for the next color. So now the total multiplier is already up to 2 per revolution, which will do good for us moving forward, especially when we get other colors in here that can really ramp up the multiplication here. But when we get to 100, we can add the first one, orange. This game will be a whole test if you're colorblind. It's a whole lot slower than red, but when that fills up, it also adds into the multiplier over here. And I would like to see the red get all the way up to 2 laps per second, which we are at 1.75 right now. So we're getting there. And the orange value is working on it. And also when we use this to buy the things here, that also resets the progress to infinity, but it's filling up quickly enough that I think we'll be okay. Really makes me wonder where the game counts infinity at. But now we are at 2.25, so we can let that sit for a little bit, and then we can work on orange here, which only adds 0.06 laps per second per upgrade. So that'll be a little bit to get it to the same level as orange, but I honestly don't think we're gonna see that. But that's okay. I would like to see this get up to 1 at least. And then one of the other things we have over here is time flux, which is kind of like a speed boost that accumulates when we're offline. So that'll be helpful later, but I don't really want to use it right now. Our orange is at a quarter loop per second, so we can continue that. And now that we have 5 levels into this, we now have access to yellow as soon as we can, but that's 1,000. But you know, we are earning 6 per revolution, and with the red revolving, it's filling up so fast, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. And now the orange value is adding an extra 25% to everything. So that's helpful, because even though this is only at 6 in the red, we're almost at 8 for the total value here. That's very good news. And we are 1 upgrade away from having the orange at a half a lap every second. I think that's a good place to be. So we can go ahead and do that. And now we have 1,000, so we can introduce yellow here, which is way slower and it doesn't fill up nearly as fast, but that'll enhance the multiplier even further. And we're looking at 12 per revolution, so we're in the 10s now. That's a good start, and we are almost to 1% of infinity. But when we get there, it'll quickly go away because we need to buy upgrades. And maybe we can get the red to 3 laps per second. I would like that idea, and that should be on the next one. There we go. I know I'm repeating that a lot, but it's a lot of math involved, so it's kind of just to make me make sense of it. And so we can enhance yellow even further. I would like to get you to 0.25 every second, but now it costs 2,000 already. At least the red value is over 10. So that's doing even better for the total score that we get per revolution. And now that we have 5 levels into this, we can get green next. But that's 50,000, so maybe in a little bit. And I will say, watching some of these go around is like watching like the DVD menu thing. You're waiting for 2 of them to hit at the exact same time. But when we get yellow to 0.25, then that should be a little better, even though orange is slightly faster than that. So let's try to get you to 7.5. Oh, we get it to a nice value. The OCD is gonna go crazy for some of you. But now our total score per revolution is over 50, so that's really good. We might see 50,000 sooner than I thought. So now the red is at 16 times 3.5 times 1.5. And I'm glad the total is shown over here because that is way more math than I can do in my head. But let's also try to boost yellow a little bit further, but that is so expensive already. And we're gonna need 2 more to get it to 0.5. And sure enough, we can get there. So now each of these circles that we have are filling up at a very good rate, I think. This is getting ridiculous. We're earning over 100 per revolution, almost 200. I like it. And then achievements that we get do add to the multiplier, but these are things like reaching a million score, spending money, but also just unlocking blue. And we're not there yet, but we're well on the way. And there it is, 200 per revolution. And now we can get green, which is only doing 3% of a lap every second. Wow. And green is making it through the first this loop, you can do it. He did it. And now we can get green a little faster. And the progress to infinity is filling up kind of quickly now, which is good, but it's only filling up 0.01% at a time. So I think what would really help out with this is getting the red to increase this starter value a whole lot faster. So let's just dump a lot of upgrades into here and see where we end up. And there's an even 6. And I can't even imagine getting these other values there. It's so expensive, but also look at how quickly it's filling up too. We're at 530 per revolution over here, and it's only getting crazier from there. And what would be fun is getting the orange to 2 per second. And we are well on the way to looking at 1,000 per revolution in just a few moments. And now the orange is doing 2 per second. Excellent. And that almost costs 100,000. So we'll just let that sit for a bit. And in just a few moments, we have 1,000 score per revolution being added to our total. Excellent. Oh, hey, we got a prestige window here. So we can prestige when we want to. Nice. But that really doesn't give us anything yet, so we'll just let that sit. Oh wow, we actually are getting really close to 1 million. I didn't even realize. But that's happening so fast, we might as well do it, because that's one of the achievements that helps our score multiplier. And bada bing, bada boom. There it is, 1 million. Hey, and it gave a flashy achievement animation. Nice. So we unlocked a leaderboard. Wow. And they give 1.01 multiplier to the gain. That's not doing a whole lot for us. And also our score over here is up to 2,000 already. And well on its way to just keep on going, because the orange is finally at 10. But let's get a few more levels into green so we can eventually get access to turquoise. I don't think that's how InterndotGif works. But at least now green is at a quarter revolution a second, which is helpful, especially because turquoise needs 10 million to unlock. 1 million and change gets us at 2% progress to infinity. So is it just counting like 1 billion as the infinity number? Or is this just gonna increasingly like go up slower as we get bigger numbers here? Because it does feel like it's slowing down a lot as opposed to where we started. Well, at the very least we can work on it, having 5,000 scored per revolution. And now the red value is over 50 times 14 times 6 times basically 2. And we have 5 million. I don't even know what the score is here, revolution, but I would love to see green get to 0.5, and then we need only 3 million to get there. We are now at the point where millions are basically nothing, but now that needs 4.2 million to progress. So I think when we get to 5 million, we can start putting it into some of these lower values, because feeding into this multiplier specifically is going to be very good for us going forward. So when we get to 5 million, we increase this as much as we can, and we get 2.75. It is also really weird seeing this like whole equation jump around here, because the numbers keep changing the size and whatever. So it's just like a slinky going back and forth. And sure enough, even though that number is going up pretty quickly, the progress to infinity is slowing down. But now with 10 million, we can get turquoise, which seems to be progressing at the same rate as green. So that's comforting, at least. They're not getting exponentially slower than that. They're just getting exponentially more expensive. And then something else that's a feature is ascending. So that's something that happens when we get the levels maxed out. So should we start to try and max out red? I feel like ascending red would be helpful here, and we can actually get quite a bit of the ways there. Looking at almost 10 laps per second here, and we just have 25 levels to go to get fully maxed out. And so we'll just let this marinate a bit. But we have anti-epilepsy. Oh, get a solid circle? What? Because it's going so fast. Wow. That is almost eerie, which gives us 30 extra minutes of time flux. So we have a full hour that we could use, but we could also put that towards increasing capacity or the gain, which, you know, doesn't really help us here. And I do know that increasing the starting value like crazy only helps so much, because that's before multiplying everything. So why don't we put a whole bunch of things into orange? Oh, because we can't do that nearly as much because it's crazy expensive. But at least yellow doesn't cost 1 million yet, and now it costs 1 million. But now looking at the progress to infinity, that's actually filling up quite a bit. At least it is when it's low, but now it's staying like above 2% now. So that's helpful. And even when it's below, it gets there pretty quickly. So 2% is basically the minimum now. And we are getting very close to 100,000 per revolution. And there it is. So now even when we spend multi-millions to the point that we can look at cyan Really? Why isn't it blue? Why is blue all the way over here? Just watch, it's not even gonna call it blue. It's gonna call it like violet or something. So can we get this all the way to level 100? Wow, only so many levels there. That's getting ridiculous. But here, let's enhance green a little bit because that's actually starting to be an appreciative multiplier there. Oh man, the blue or the cyan only goes up 0.02 every time. Oh, that is really painful. But hey, the red is at 100, so the pain goes away. And now we're nearing multiple hundreds of millions, so we can put all of those towards, more yellow, more green. How about more green? Because we can get this really close to 1 per second. And now green is at a multiplier of 5. And then we can get maybe 4 more levels here, which is just 9 levels away from maximum level here. And turquoise is still just chugging along at like 10% per second. But we can increase that as much as we can. So now that's almost a quarter per turn. And we are looking at 500,000 per revolution. That is so much better. Now, what can we do for orange to get ridiculously fast? We can get it almost to 4 per second. So that can sit there for a bit, but we can almost get green to 1 per second. So let's be just shy of that, annoyingly. And now that costs 273 million to upgrade again, which we are getting the score back very quickly. We are actually getting close to 1 million per revolution. So we just gotta keep boosting things till we get there. Okay, now green is at 1 per second. And there it is, 1 million per revolution. But with the speed of red, that's basically times 10 that. 10 times that. I know what I said, but man, turquoise has still just been adding nothing because it takes so long to get rotations there. But hey, we have 1 billion now. So now can I get red to 100? I'm just 1 level shy. Come on, do it. There we go. Now we have a giant A button here for ascending. And we got the first ascension, which gives us some soul energy here. Because a game about filling up circles definitely needs souls. But wow, that slowed that down entirely and didn't lower the cost at all. But that did increase the multiplier gain here. So now it's adding 0.1 instead of 0.01, roughly. But it still costs 1 billion, so yikes. And letting this run for 15 minutes might have been a mistake because we're at 114 billion now and 45 million per revolution. Okay then. Well, we can get cyan in here finally and upped a little bit. Now it is blue. Dabba-dee-da-doo. Finally. So that makes my life a whole lot easier. And finally, the prestige gives a little bit of an exponent. So I guess I was filling up separately than the multiplier, which I'm guessing is the white value here. And even with all these billions, it's still not filling up this very fast. And we need 100 trillion for the blue? My goodness. Let's just get the red to 1 per second there to make that a little easier. And then let's try to make the orange a solid circle, which is taking multiple billions, and we can only get to 5.3. And then we can spend a lot of it to increase cyan even further, which doesn't even drop the infinity percentage down that much, which kind of just speaks to how minuscule a billion is in the schemes of infinity. But since we have all these billions, we might as well start increasing the values of the ones that don't cost 1 billion yet and get them there. So that's yellow and then green and then turquoise. So now everything costs 1 billion at least. And we are almost to 100 million per revolution here. This just gets insane. And then you know what? Since we have like a full hour of time flux, let's just go ahead and speed this up to, let's spend 15 right now. And then time warp. So let's playing the game at 90 times speed for all of what would be 15 minutes. And that gets us 8 trillion and a 2.3 billion per revolution. Oh, that is amazing. And I think these went up respectively. Well, they would have had to. But now we have even more to put towards cyan here. That is working wonderfully. But all these trillions isn't even close to the 100 trillion we need to get the next circle. But I am curious how fast we can advance red since that's so cheap. And we can get it to 3.8, so that's actually moving at a pretty good click now. And the maximum of that does add 10 more levels, so we can't ascend it as quickly, but we might be able to get close to ascending orange actually. And sure enough, we can. Maximum level, which only puts it at 6.25. It's a little underwhelming, but let's ascend it, and now it's adding 0.1 every time that goes around. And what's crazy is the red value here is at 400 now as a base, and then everything else is multiplied after that. This is getting ridiculous. But also, all of the colors now are very visible in how quick they go around, because they're not that quick at all anymore. Probably because they cost so much to speed up. So now green is almost moving at 2, but not quite. Man, the amount of revolutions that we get has really slowed down. But at least yellow can get up to 3.33, and there's probably more 3s behind that. And then we can get some more turquoise in here, because that's still single-digit billions, which billions are absolutely a single digit. But now we're looking at 10 billion per revolution. That is wild. So we could get a times 10 prestige multiplier if we do it now. I would like to see the exponent go up a little bit further though. But now I wonder how little I need to time flux to get to 100 trillion at this rate. So what if we just spend another 10 on this, playing the game at 60 times speed. So now we have 35 minutes of time flux remaining, and we are at 294 trillion. Wow, really underestimating how quickly that goes up. And that's almost at 100 billion there too. And even with all this, the progress to infinity is only 4.7%. Wow, and it's not even moving anymore. Okay, but let's just get blue in here. And we got RGB achievement. So what can we even use these soul things for? There is a shop here, but that's for actually spending money. Oh wait, these are what we do the souls for. Ooh, but we could also spend it on multipliers here, or some skins. Wow, these are kind of cool actually. Whoa, look at that prismatic one. Very pretty color burst. But I think the ring is the most satisfying, just to see circles complete. Although speaking of, that blue is taking forever to complete. And we need to buy 5 levels of this to get the next one? We can only buy like 1 right now, maybe 2, which puts us all the way back down to trillions, like single digit trillions. And we still have some colors here that only cost billions still. So let's just get those up there, and we can still increase the red by quite a bit because it doesn't cost too much. So now that's at 5.8, which is getting this on the path to being 1,000 initially. And it is what I worried about initially. The progress to infinity bar is exponentially getting harder and harder to fill. I do want to prestige but all these trillions isn't even close to the 100 trillion we need to get the next circle. 1,000 at the beginning of this. This whole chain of multiplication here starts with 1,000. At the point that the decimal place went away too. And hey, now we're into quadrillions. So let's boost blue one more time, and then we need a quintillion to get purple? That is a lot to wait for, and I don't know if speed fluxing will do that for us. But here, let's just boost red a little bit further, and there it is, times 20. So I was hoping that the exponent was tied with the multiplier and this would be 0.05, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Is this reliant on the upgrades that we get? It might be. It really hurts to prestige with all these numbers here, but we're not getting even close to infinity. I thought infinity was just gonna be like an arbitrary number that the game puts in, but no, it's actually gonna be stupidly high. Or maybe it's a stupidly high arbitrary number, what do I know? But either way, times 22 I think is good enough, so let's prestige a little bit there, which gave us a new achievement. Allow multiple buy. Wow, how kind of you to finally give me that. Although, that multiplier being tacked way on the end is doing super good numbers for us. We're already up to 260, but that lets us buy orange a couple of times. Oh, and there's a new prestige thing in the shop now. Increase prestige exponent and prestige multiplier. But the exponent is still only a decimal place, so I don't know if it's doing too much for us right now. But I guess we can kind of see how good that exponent is doing for us by seeing it's 115 here, and it already boosted to 145. So that's pretty good, I think. And you know what? We might as well spend a little bit more time here, so how about 5 minutes of time warp? Let's do the time warp again. See how that boosts us to 3 million? Didn't expect that to be so good in these initial stages. But we can also boost the red by 25 levels here. And then we dial it back to 1, just so we can get to the full circle again, because that was cool to see. Which that does make me wonder about the other like themes. If it was like the swinging balls, would it just be like still, or would it be like a single like arc here? And there's an achievement just for checking the credits? Sure, because these achievements are good for increasing multiplier to multiplier gain. Oh, what the heck? A vigintillion? What does that even look like? I swear as it got bigger, they just made up words to describe big numbers. Just one more after this, and now we're at full circle. And now let's get 5 more levels in orange a couple times, which we still have a lot of numbers here for. So let's do the same thing for yellow and then green. And then we'll try to get the turquoise on the way to being able to buy the next thing. But of course it gets stupid expensive. But now we're at the point where we need 10 billion. And now this exponential value is doing so much that we're almost double looking at the total value here. That is really weird to think about. But with all these billions, let's just double the orange value there. So now we're looking at 1 million per revolution total, which is also just making this value skyrocket. That's at 2 million already, and now it's at 4 million, so that's just going up crazy fast. How about a little more, double the yellow? And then I wonder if we can actually max out the red here, so let's do that. Not really sure if we're going to ascend it quite yet though. And now we can add cyan to the mix, and this is already at 10 million per revolution and then some. But it's actually at the point where it's starting to pass being double a little bit. So that's getting even more ridiculous. But here, let's double turquoise again. And now the total is already at 100,000 per revolution now. We haven't been doing this for nearly as long as before. It really makes me wonder what would happen if I just nuked all the rest of the time flux that we had. 15 minutes. So after all that, we have 250 trillion, which is enough to get 2 levels into blue. Yeah, might as well. And the total revolution here is 53 billion per revolution. And I think we can comfortably ascend the red now because this boosts it to 5 laps per second very quickly. And there's the prestige window again. It took long enough. And now the total revolution thing is like 3 times this value here. So that can definitely get crazier and crazier as we get more exponential power. And then we can double blue, double turquoise again. And I feel like we can max out orange here, so we'll do that. And then one more blue level. So now we have access to the idea of buying purple. So we're kind of back to where we were before. And with that, let's go ahead and just use the rest of the time warp that we have just to see how far that gets us. It gives us 150 quadrillion. Nowhere near getting the purple here, and only 5% to infinity, even though we're getting trillions per revolution. And the exponent only went up 1 point. Are you serious? And we can get more time flux for ascending twice, so that would be easier to do with red. Can we max it out here? No, not even close. And then one more upgrade lets us get to another complete circle at Ascension 1 for red. But of course, that's still 30 levels off for Ascension 2. Although we can max out yellow, so let's do that. And we can also max out green, so let's do that. And over here, we're looking at like 4 times the value here that makes a total. I don't know if that makes sense, but this is now 4 times greater than this. So that is getting even more crazy. So we're actually getting really close to 1 quintillion here. I like the sound of that. Finally get some purple up in here, and then we can just dread to see how much the pink is. But there we go, 1 quintillion, and there's purple, crawling at 0.02 laps per second. Oh goodness. But you know what? We can increase the prestige to times 50 and get the exponent up to 0.06. So I think we can do that. And hey, that's another achievement, double prestiging. So yeah, the starting value is 50, and then we just get even crazier from there. Now I'm just curious what will happen if we fill up the time flux bar again, which actually it's full again. Did that happen from prestiging? All right then, 30 minutes right off the rip, and that jumps us up to 3.5 billion when we were suffering through thousands a little bit ago. Well, that helps get the green and then the turquoise and then not quite the cyan yet, but that total per revolution is already up to 1 million. I'm really curious what will happen if we just spend like an entire hour at once. But I figured I might as well let this run all night because it doesn't accumulate things when you're offline, and we get 71 quintillion here, which is still only 6% of infinity. But that does give us enough things to get cyan, and then blue, and then purple, which was the one that stopped us before. And then to get 1 level of pink, we need 1 septillion? Oh goodness, that's like 2 tiers above this one. But the rate though, 1 quadrillion per revolution here. And with all this, we can mix out green, yellow, orange, and red all together. And there was an achievement for playing for 5 hours. But because this was running all night, there wasn't a whole lot of time flux gained. But a little bird told me that if we just go ahead and advance the time manually here, let's say 24 hours later, then we can go ahead and just milk all the time flux that we want. So we can go ahead and just spend 16 minutes of time warp all at once just to move this faster. So an extra hour later, we are at 31 sextillion. Not enough for this though, but it is advancing the rate to quintillions. Just gonna start collecting A's, which is also just making the prestige multiplier go up like crazy. But it only takes 10 hours to maximize the time flux meter, so let's just change this to PM for 12 hours later, and then let's actually spend the time flux that we have now to double the capacity. So now the maximum is 2 hours. And then let's see, the rate was 6 minutes per hour passed. So we would need 15 hours to pass, so might as well just change this to the next day. Another 24 hours later, just to be sure. Which again, really isn't doing much for the resources gain because that doesn't happen when we're offline, but at least we have a lot of time flux to work with. So we're just going to increase this a little bit more, and since the maximum is 4 hours, we need 40 hours roughly to fill all of that, so we're just gonna advance it 2 days. And let's just go ahead and use the 4 hours that we have all at once. Playing the game at 1,440 speed, which puts us at 2 octillion here. That's enough to get 1 level of this, right? Yeah! And then can we get 5? Yes! Now it's just a DC that's a dectillion, but we almost have all the rings here. But still, 2 octillion is only 8% of infinity. Ugh. Ooh, but we can promote. Going forward in time makes it a bit confusing. I don't know what triggered the promoting, but we can do it. So we can do a few things here. And I think the multiplier gain is going to be the one to get. So we promoted, which gives us 15 minutes of time flux. That's cute. And it reset absolutely everything. Absolutely everything. We lost the prestige over here too. Wow. But our multiplier gain is 0.02 now instead of 0.01, which is making all the things climb even faster. And thankfully it didn't reset the time flux here, but let's just go ahead and use the 15 minutes that we have, just so we can get a few things going. Orange, and then, wow, can't even do yellow yet. But this is a whole lot of things that clearly we're just scratching the surface of because we didn't even break 10% of infinity. So I hope you guys enjoyed Revolution Idle. If any of you have reached infinity, please tell me how long it took because it seems like a long time. And if you have tips for getting there sooner, then be sure to let me know. Thank you for watching and sub to Intern. And I would like to thank the channel members, including Bread, Corby Farm, Dakota, Donamoto, Devion X, Ancient Elixir, Matthew, Hateful Herald, Peggy Sue, Drupalong, Lily, The Miner Within, The Garrity, Sans, Isaac, V, Killer Squad, Mousy, and Nicholas.